Genesis chapter 23. And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah, and to weep for her. Then Abraham rose up from beside his dead, and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a sojourner and a settler among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, Hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us withholds from you his burial site from burying your dead. So Abraham rose and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. And he spoke with them, saying, If it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me, and approach Ephron, son of Zohar, for me, and let me have the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver, as property for a burial site among you. And Ephron dwelt among the sons of Heth. And Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gate of his city, saying, No, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the field and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If only you would hear me. I shall give the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, My master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Thus the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. And after this Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. Chapter 24. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahweh had blessed Abraham in every way. And Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, Please put your hand under my thigh, so that I make you swear by Yahweh, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but to go to my land and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son Yitzhak. And the servant said to him, What if the woman refuses to follow me to this land? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? And Abraham said to him, Beware, lest you take my son back there. Yahweh Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, To your seed I give this land, he sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there. Then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master, and swore to him concerning this matter. And the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, for all his master's good gifts were in his hand. And he arose and went to Aram Naharim, to the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. And he said, Yahweh, Elohim of my master Abraham, please cause her to meet before me this day, and show loving commitment to my master Abraham. See, I am standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. Now, let it be that the young woman to whom I say, Please let down your jar to let me drink, and she says, Drink, and let me water your camels too. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Yitzhak, and let me know by this that you have shown loving commitment to my master. And it came to be, before he had ended speaking, that see, Rivkah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her shoulder. And the young woman was very good-looking, a maiden, no man having known her. And she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please let me drink a little water from your jar." And she said, "Drink, my master." And she hurried and let her jar down to her hand, and gave him a drink. And when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, "Let me draw water for your camels too, until they have finished drinking." And she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. And watching her, the man remained silent, in order to know whether Yahweh had prospered his way or not. And it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing 1/2 shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, "Whose daughter are you? Please inform me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" And she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor." And she said to him, "We have both straw and fodder enough, and room to spend the night." And the man bowed down his head and worshipped Yahweh. And he said, "Blessed be Yahweh, Elohim of my master Avraham, who has not forsaken his loving commitment and his truth toward my master. As for me, being on the way, Yahweh led me to the house of my master's brothers." Then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. And Rivkah had a brother whose name was Laban. And Laban ran out to the man to the fountain. And it came to be, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists, and when he heard the words of his sister Rivkah, saying, "Thus the man spoke to me," that he went to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. And he said, "Come in, O blessed of Yahweh. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and a place for the camels." So the man came into the house while he unloaded the camels, and provided straw and fodder for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the feet of the men who were with him, and set food before him to eat. But he said, "Let me not eat until I have spoken my word." And he said, "Speak on." And he said, "I am Avraham's servant, and Yahweh has blessed my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flocks and herds and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. And my master made me swear, saying, 'Do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell, but go to my father's house and to my relatives, and take a wife for my son.' And I said to my master, 'What if the woman does not follow me?' But he said to me, 'Yahweh, before whom I walk, sends his messenger with you, and shall prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Then when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath.' And this day I came to the fountain and said, 'Yahweh, Elohim of my master Avraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going, see, I am standing by the fountain of water. And when the young woman comes out to draw water, and I say to her, "Please, give me a little water from your jar to drink," and she says to me, "Drink, and let me draw for your camels too," let her be the woman whom Yahweh has appointed for my master's son." I had not yet ended speaking in my heart. Then see, Rivkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the fountain and drew water. And I said to her, "Please, let me drink." And she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder, and said, "Drink, and let me water your camels too." So I drank, and she watered the camels too. And I asked her and said, "Whose daughter are you?" And she said, "The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him." Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists, and I bowed my head and worshipped Yahweh, and blessed Yahweh, Elohim of my master Avraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. And now, if you are going to show loving commitment and truth to my master, let me know, and if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left." And Laban answered Bethuel too, and said, "The matter comes from Yahweh. We are not able to speak to you, either evil or good. See, Rivkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahweh has spoken." And it came to be, when Avraham's servant heard their words, that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yahweh. And the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments, and gave them to Rivkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, "Let me go to my master." But her brother and her mother said, "Let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10, then you go." And he said to them, "Do not delay me. since Yahweh has prospered my way. Let me go, so that I go to my master. And they said, Let us call the young woman and ask her. So they called Rivkah and said to her, Are you going with this man? And she said, I shall go. So they let Rivkah their sister and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rivkah and said to her, Let our sister become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. And Rivkah and her young women arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rivkah and left. And Yitzchak came from the way of Be'er Lahai Roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Yitzchak went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted his eyes and looked and saw the camels coming. And Rivkah lifted her eyes, and when she saw Yitzchak, she dismounted from her camel. And she had said to the servant, Who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, It is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Yitzchak all the matters he had done. And Yitzchak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Rivkah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Yitzchak was comforted after his mother's death. Chapter 25. And Abraham took another wife, whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, and Yokshan, and Medan, and Midian, and Yishbak, and Shuvah. And Yokshan brought forth Sheva, and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashurim, and Letushim, and Leumim. And the sons of Midian were Ephah, and Epher, and Hanok, and Avidah, and Eldaah. All these were the children of Keturah. Now Abraham gave all that he had to Yitzchak, but to the sons of the concubines whom Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts while he was still living, and sent them away from his son Yitzchak eastward to the land of the east. And these are all the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. And Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, aged and satisfied, and was gathered to his people. And his sons Yitzchak and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried with Sarah his wife. And it came to be, after the death of Abraham, that Elohim blessed his son Yitzchak, and Yitzchak dwelt in Be'er Lahai Roi. And this is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Mitzrite, Sarah's female servant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nevaioth, then Kedar, and Adbael, and Misam, and Mishma, and Duma, and Massa, Hadar, and Tema, Yatur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were their names, by their towns and their settlements, 12 chiefs according to their tribes. And these were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. And he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. And they dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Mitzrayim as you go toward Ashur. He settled before all his brothers. And this is the genealogy of Yitzchak, Abraham's son. Abraham brought forth Yitzchak, and Yitzchak was 40 years old when he took Rivkah as wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Aramean. And Yitzchak prayed to Yahweh for his wife because she was barren. And Yahweh answered his prayer, and Rivkah his wife conceived. And within her the children struggled together, and she said, If all is right, why am I this way? So she went to ask Yahweh. And Yahweh said to her, 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples shall be separated from your body, and 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older serve the younger. And when the days were filled for her to give birth, and see, twins were in her womb. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, so they called his name Esau. And afterward his brother came out, with his hand holding on to Esau's heel, so his name was called Yaakov. And Yitzchak was 60 years old when she bore them. And the boys grew up, and Esau became a man knowing how to hunt, a man of the field, while Yaakov was a complete man, dwelling in tents. And Yitzhak loved Esau because he ate of his wild game, but Rivkah loved Yaakov. And Yaakov cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Yaakov, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." That is why his name was called Edom. But Yaakov said, "Sell me your birthright today." And Esau said, "Look, I am going to die, so why should I have birthright?" Then Yaakov said, "Swear to me today." And he swore to him, and sold his birthright to Yaakov. Yaakov then gave Esau bread and stew of lentils, and he ate and drank and rose up and left. Thus Esau despised his birthright. And there was a scarcity of chapter 26. And there was a scarcity of food in the land, besides the first scarcity of food, which was in the days of Avraham. And Yitzhak went to Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines, in Gerar. And Yahweh appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Mitzrayim. Live in the land which I command you. Sojourn in this land, and I shall be with you and bless you. For I give you all these lands to you and your seed. And I shall establish the oath which I swore to Avraham your father. And I shall increase your seed like the stars of the heavens, and I shall give all these lands to your seed, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Avraham obeyed my voice, and guarded my charge, my commands, my laws, and my Torot." And Yitzhak dwelt in Gerar. And when the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, "She is my sister." For he was afraid to say, "She is my wife," thinking, lest the men of the place should kill me for Rivkah, because she is good-looking. And it came to be, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, sovereign of the Philistines, looked through a window, and he watched and saw Yitzhak playing with Rivkah his wife. So Abimelech called Yitzhak and said, "See, truly she is your wife. So how could you say she is my sister?" And Yitzhak said to him, "Because I said, lest I die on account of her." And Abimelech said, "What is this you have done to us? One of the people had almost lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us." And Abimelech commanded all his people, saying, "He who touches this man or his wife shall certainly be put to death." And Yitzhak sowed in that land, and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and Yahweh blessed him. And the man grew great, and went forward until he became very great. And he came to have possessions of flocks, and possessions of herds, and a great body of servants, and the Philistines envied him. And the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Avraham his father, and filled them with dirt. And Abimelech said to Yitzhak, "Go away from us, for you are much mightier than we." So Yitzhak went from there, and pitched his tent in the Wadi Gerar, and dwelt there. And Yitzhak dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Avraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Avraham. And he called them by the names which his father had called them. But when Yitzhak's servants dug in the wadi, and found a well of running water there, the herdsmen of Gerar strove with Yitzhak's herdmen, saying, "The water is ours." And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they dug another well, and they strove over that one too, and he called its name Sitnah. And he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not strive over it, and he called its name Rehoboth, and said, "For now Yahweh has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." And from there he went up to Beersheba. And Yahweh appeared to him the same night, and said, "I am the Elohim of your father Avraham. Do not fear, for I am with you, and shall bless you, and increase your seed for my servant Avraham's sake." And he built a slaughter place there, and called on the name of Yahweh, and he pitched his tent there, and the servants of Yitzhak dug a well there. And Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzah, one of his friends, and Pikol, the commander of his army. And Yitzhak said to them, "Why have you come to me, seeing you have hated me, and have sent me away from you?" But they said, "We have clearly seen that Yahweh is with you." And we said, "Please, let there be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you do no evil to us, as we have not touched you, and as we have done only good toward you, and have sent you away in peace. You are now blessed by Yahweh." And he made them a feast, and they ate and drank. And they rose early in the morning, and swore an oath with one another, and Yitzhak let them go, and they departed from him in peace. And on the same day it came to be that the servants of Yitzhak came and informed him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, "We have found water." So he called it Siva, Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. And when Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Yehudith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they were a bitterness of spirit to Yitzhak and Rivkah.